to our intro to the modern classroom. So, what is the modern classroom? The modern classroom is built around the idea that not every single student moves at the same pace when they're learning new things. So, the modern classroom is a way for us to adapt the classroom to help you be the most successful. So, the first part of the modern classroom is the idea of blended instruction. And you've already kind of experienced that, especially with the new way of learning we have since the pandemic. So, what happens is that students access content through teacher designed blended instruction. So, that is primarily videos that I create for you to learn new material, notes that go with those videos, and then different activities and labs and discussions that we can have. But I don't have to stand up in front of the room and give a live lecture to every kid. With these videos, you can choose when you watch the video and when you take your notes. So that blended instruction leads to the big piece of the self paced structure. So I'm sure you've been in a class where things are just going too slow. So maybe you already have all the work done and you understand what's going on and you're just waiting. And then there may be times where things feel really rushed. We're moving on to the next idea before you've really had a chance to understand the one that we're on. So you always feel like you're behind and it's really uncomfortable. Well, with the self paced structure, you can learn at your own pace within each lesson. And that allows us to mastery based grading. So, this is when students are only going to progress or move on to the next lesson when you're demonstrated that you understand the current lesson. And what this means is that you can show me what you know, and if you know it, you move on. If you don't know it, then we're going to practice until you do know it. So that's mastery based grading, the last piece of the modern classroom. So, what does this look like in class? Well, the typical class period, you'll have a do now, which is a starter question and a tracker check. And we'll talk about the tracker in just a moment. And then you'll work on lessons. So maybe you're doing a video notes, maybe you're doing an activity, maybe you're working on a lab. It'll depend on where you are in your lessons. And then you'll do an exit ticket where you'll check out and let me know what you accomplished today. Lessons in the modern classroom have three levels. And so those levels are must do, should do, and aspire to do. So a must do activity is something that, you guessed it, you must do. So those are things like videos and guided notes. There is no exception. Those have to be done, they're non negotiable. Should do lessons are things that build on the notes, practice activities, explorations, things that help us apply what we've learned. They are something that if you got really behind in your lessons and you weren't going to hit a cutoff date, that you could negotiate with me about whether you need to do them all. It's really important that you try and do the should do's because, well, you should do them. And then there's aspire to lessons. These are lessons that are extensions. They let you learn more, build on things that you know, maybe explore cool stuff that you have questions about. And these are also lessons I'd like you to do. But if it turns out that class is really running behind for you, this is something that we might be able to cut out so you can move on to the next lesson. So this is our tracker. The tracker is displayed on the board every day. It's also posted at the top of our classroom. It's updated every single day. It recommends what lesson is on pace. So, for example, on pace lesson would be lesson 0, guided notes and Edpuzzle, and our Padlet post. So that's the recommended on pace. If you're behind or ahead, at least you know where you stand. And if you need to revise, you'll see your name in yellow, and we'll talk about revisions soon.